In the early morning hours of November 3rd, 1892, 23-year-old Jesse Pinn was tragically and senselessly shot and fatally wounded while attempting to deposit his employer's daily receipts into the night deposit box of Merchants and Farmers Bank and Trust Company in Leesville, Louisiana. His parents instituted this wrongful death and survival action against Merchants Bank, alleging that the bank failed to provide adequate security for the after-hours patrons of its night depository. Following a bench trial, the trial court determined that although the bank owed a duty to Jesse Pinn, Jr., it did not breach that duty. The Pinns appealed, concluding that the trial court was manifestly erroneous in determining that there had been no breach of the duty to provide adequate security. The Court of Appeals reversed and remanded this case to the Court of Appeals for consideration in light of Poseidon versus Smith. We granted the writ of certiorari to determine whether the Court of Appeal erred in overturning the trial court's determination that Merchants Bank did not breach its duty to provide adequate security. After a thorough review of the record, we conclude that the Court of Appeals failed to properly apply the manifest error standard of review and thus erred in reversing the trial court's verdict in favor of Merchants Bank. Accordingly, we reversed the Court of Appeals decision and remand. At approximately 1:30 a.m. on November 3rd, 1992, Jesse Pinn, the 23-year-old assistant manager of Sam's Pizza, left work and drove to a nearby branch of Merchants Bank in order to deposit the evening's receipts and operating cash into the bank's night deposit box. The bank is located on Entrance Road, which leads to Fort Polk in Leesville, Louisiana. It is approximately 300 feet from Sam's Pizza. Two Vernon Parish jail trustees, Lawson Strickland and Christian Boyd, had escaped from jail on October 28, 1992, and had been at large for 5 days. According to Boyd, who testified at trial via deposition, the two escapees were in need of money and had planned the robbery the previous evening, having hidden out in the area behind the bank for hours and watched the night deposit for potential victims. Jesse's deposit was the only transaction they had observed that previous evening. Boyd testified that he and Strickland chose this particular bank for its location and the cover it afforded. They planned to escape through the woods behind the bank, which was within walking distance of the trailer in which they had been staying. The night of the robbery, Strickland and Boyd hid atop a hill behind a McDonald's restaurant adjacent to the bank and watched for Jesse to approach. When Jesse emerged from Sambino's, Strickland ran down the hill and secured a hiding place behind the bank, a full-service branch which included an ATM, a drive-up window, and a night deposit box located on the McDonald's side of the bank under a canopy that extends over the drive-through lanes. As Jesse exited his car and walked up to the night deposit box, Strickland confronted him, brandishing a gun and demanding the deposit money. In the ensuing struggle over the $64.06 in cash in the night deposit bag, Strickland shot Jesse in the area of the clavicle. He died at an Alexandria hospital 9 hours later. Jesse's parents filed a wrongful death and survival action against Merchants Bank and its insurer, Aetna Casualty and Surety Company, the Merchants Bank defendants, alleging that the bank failed to persuade or to provide adequate security to customers using the night depository. The Vernon Parish Sheriff was also named a defendant for affording Boyd and Strickland the escape. Jesse's mother asserted a claim pursuant to LSA CC, Article 2315.6, for the severe emotional distress she suffered upon arriving at the scene immediately after the shooting. Tragically, Mrs. Pinn died of cancer prior to trial. Jesse's twin brother, Orrin David Pinn, became succession representative and was substituted as the proper party plaintiff to assert Mrs. Pinn's claims. The Merchants Bank defendants filed a third-party demand against Strickland, Boyd, and Atkins, a minor at the time of the shooting, who provided transportation to Strickland and Boyd and who gave them the gun used in the shooting. Both the Pinns family and Merchants Bank requested trial by jury, but the trial court subsequently granted a motion by Merchants Bank to strike the jury. The Vernon Parish Sheriff settled with the Pinns prior to trial.